So hello, and this is Brianne. So the reason why I've got Brianne here to talk today is because I met Brianne through working within the mental health system, and now she no longer works in the mental health system and is venturing out on her own with her own business, which is heavily influenced by sort of wellness and that type of thing, right? So
yep.
What I thought would be interesting is picking Brianne's brains around, I guess, her time of working within mental health services and just some thoughts around that with some questions, and then I guess what starting her own business has kind of done for her, because I kind of like believe in purpose and meaning, and I assume that having your own business has brought a lot more than that, but we will wait and see what you answer. Okay, so I met Brianne through something called the Recovery College.
Yeah.
Can you say about what the Recovery College is? You may say it better than me.
Okay, I'll try. So the Recovery College is part of the mental health service. Although there's two types of Recovery College. I'm screwing up here.
It's fine.
There's one thing called Recovery College, but different places do it differently. So some recovery colleges are attached to mental health services and they're statutory. Some are kind of just charities. So there are slight differences between the two. But the crux of what a recovery college is that it is an education based on personal recovery. And personal recovery is about learning to live with the symptoms you're experiencing, recognising that perhaps they might not go away, so you need to learn how to manage them, learn how to live with them, and still live a fulfilling life alongside them. And that's different different to the mental health service, which is very much the medical model. They're trying to give pills and trying to cure and completely fix something. So that's what the Recovery College is, and it is based on co-production. So there's always a lived and learned experience facilitating courses in the classroom. So there's the learned experience, which is usually a mental health professional. They are usually the expert in whatever the topic is of the course. And then you have a peer tutor with the lived experience, and they usually have lived experience of the course topic. And then the course is taught together and collaboratively, but not only taught together, but also written together, so every single point of view is within that course material.
Very good. So I've been a peer tutor with the Recovery College, and I think through my time in my job, I've been on loads of different like workshops and courses that the Recovery College has, and I've always been a very big fan of it. I think that giving people an opportunity to be in a classroom and kind of seeing familiar faces and having them similar struggles, I think it really felt like a little community in the area that I was working in, and people really benefited from their time being in that space, and it was.
Yeah, it's hugely empowering because people meet other people that are going through something similar, and they learn from each other different strategies that they can try and employ for themselves. And it's just about trying things out, taking the information from the course material and trying what works for you, leaving what doesn't. You know, it's a completely relaxed, safe space to experience it how you want to experience it and take away from it what you want to take away from it. But you usually do get to build some friendships and some connections with people while you're in the courses, and you can see people. If it's like a 4-week course, you can see people come in on the first week and they're perhaps really shy and they don't talk to anybody. And by the fourth week, they're really confident and they're talking to people, they're contributing, and it's a powerful thing. Recovery College. It's like, I don't want to be all dramatic about it, but it literally saves lives.
I hear so many people say wonderful things about what they've gained through being involved with a Recovery College, and just out of interest, what came first? Like, so within services now, you know, a lot of peer support workers are being employed. A peer support worker is somebody that has their lived experience. You can be a carer of, but from my experience, lots of people have their own personal experience. But what came first because recovery college is collaborative, and that lived experience is part of what I guess that you promote, that we value the lived experience also, as well as the professional that has learned and studied and things like that. But what came first? Do you know? Is it the recovery college promoting also lived experience and collaboration, or was it sort of mental health services and then there was an add-on of the recovery college who also followed suit? Do you know?
Yeah, I think it's recovery colleges that then came. I think mental health services have always been there, but then recovery college was kind of pioneered in America, and they had this system that really worked. So it's fairly young in the UK, like 2012, 2013 or something like that. So mental health services were embedded, and then actually they realised that this is a really powerful thing. It's something that can work alongside the medical model, something that can help people just as much as the medical model, perhaps.
So the recovery college was first in delivering that approach?
I would say that it definitely, that it paved the way for that.
Right.
I think there's always been kind of volunteers in mental health services.
Yeah.
Well, and also, I don't know, peer support workers, they were around possibly before. I don't know, I think it all kind of grew together actually. But I think it's such a strong value of recovery college that recovery college has, through recovery college, it certainly has enabled it to grow.
And what I've also learned from my job in the recovery college is, people with lived experience are now seeing like an opportunity for their struggles, that they can use them, positively to potentially help people. And I think, you talk about, I don't want to name specific people, but like through the recovery college, people that have gone on and grown in confidence in peer tutoring, have spoken so supportively in terms of their own mental health journey and personal recovery, and what they've gone on to do after that. And that really was, the recovery college was the starting point in changing their lives.
There are people that come to recovery college and they are, maybe they've experienced mental health challenges for the first time and they're really stuck. And they're not perhaps doing very much with their lives. They've had to stop work because of what they're experiencing, and now they're just trying to find what the new normal is, or mostly trying to get back to how they were. And recovery college is just a really good first step, because the recovery college treats people as equals as much as it can. that's a topic to discuss perhaps. But it does support you to grow. So people come to recovery college having nothing in their lives, they begin to volunteer, then they begin to perhaps get employed through the recovery college for certain hours on a bank system, and then they have the confidence to go and get jobs and return to whatever they choose their life to be after their crisis or whatever it was for them.
So one other thing on the recovery college, and then we'll move on. Talking a lot about the recovery college, so
it's a great thing.
Absolutely, it's a great thing. But what some examples of the kind of workshops and courses that the recovery college do?
Yes, so they have like one-off courses, half day or 1 day, perhaps on goal setting, anxiety, and then there's longer courses such as acceptance and commitment therapy. What is psychosis, obsessive and compulsive disorder. So it ranges from short courses to multiple week courses, once a week for multiple weeks.
And I know that you've left now, but they're starting to bring in some new ones. One on, identity and trying to forge positive identity, and post-traumatic growth, which is about things that can kind of be gained from what you learn through your own time kind of battling with the struggles and
and it's interesting because there was one student that I remember that I don't know what I was teaching. I think I was teaching wellness planning, and we were on like the 3rd week, and we were talking about post-traumatic growth, and she was like, I did spend a long time trying to get back to who I was, but actually going through this recovery college and going through this learning, I've realised that actually I like myself better now, and I actually, the opportunities I've had post all those challenges.
Yeah. And I really think there is something in that. I'm the same.
Yeah.
I'm glad, you know, that I've become who I've become.
Yeah.
You know, I'm glad I saw the things I saw.
Yeah.
I learned and changed over time. You know, you had lots of things to try and work through in that, but
Yeah.
you know, you can gain so much. A better view, a better, more understanding perspective, a better truth, just better truth. You know.
Yeah, your whole perspective shifts a lot. Because I don't think if, you know, people that haven't experienced mental health challenges, I don't think they really understand the full extent of what people experience.
Yeah.
So it's difficult, a concept, I think, to understand exactly the journey. I use journey because I quite like it, but I know a lot of people don't like the word journey. But I feel like it kind of is a journey.
I never used to like the term journey.
Yeah.
But then when I thought about it, I kind of think, well, a journey takes time. And I think for me, like recovery or learning to live with things and so, it all takes time. No one wants to hear it takes time because we want our pain to stop somewhat. But I relate to journey now more if I think that a journey just takes time. I mean, is there another take?
What did you like about it then?
I think it just felt a little bit like cheesy, somewhat.
Yeah, I guess it's a little cheesy.
It's it just, you know, it's a journey, but you know, actually, it is a bit of a journey.
Yeah, I mean, you can go deeper into the metaphor, couldn't you?
Can you? I don't know. Is there a deeper?
Well, I suppose if you're going to take a journey, there's like twists and winds, and you perhaps might trip over, and you have to stop for a little bit.
Okay.
And then who's travelling with you? What's travelling with you? What obstacles do you come across? You know, what's in the road? So you can go deeper into the metaphor, which makes, so it's cheesy, but it makes sense.
No, absolutely. I've never thought about it that deeply. Most people probably don't, but you got a point. So, okay, so I'm gonna sort of rewind a little bit, and we touched on it a little bit earlier. I haven't got a list of questions. I'm kind of already going off track onto numerous other things. So, the job routes that you chose. Okay, so why did you choose them?
Okay, so years and years ago, I didn't go to university. I just went straight to get jobs. So I finished college, finished A levels, and.
Do you want to just start by saying highlight what your jobs?
Yeah,
were?
So it's basically always been social work.
So you're a social worker by trade.
Yes. Yeah. So years ago when I decided I was in this job and I was working for a sign language interpreting agency, just in the office.
Right.
Admin stuff, coordinating bookings and things like that, and I just saw so much discrimination towards deaf people, and the system taking advantage of deaf people in multiple ways, and came across a few people.
That's intriguing.
Yeah, but and I came across a few people that just highlighted to me how much. Like who I didn't want to be as a person.
Right.
And I just realised in that job, I'm going to be a social worker for deaf people, and that was it. It was just in my head. So I quit the job, and I went to university to do a social work degree. I was already 25 by this time.
Right.
So I did that, and then 1 month before graduation, the course finished, there was a sensory services social work post. They'd come up.
Right.
So I applied for it, went for it, and that was that. That was like the first time I'd experienced like, I'm gonna set a goal and then get it, you know. So
what was the reality of that job then? Like you go in there with like, hey, I'm gonna make a difference. I'm gonna challenge, and I'm gonna, in my own little way, I'm gonna, you know, do that. Was it?
You know what? Sensory services is a really special team. I kind of realised in that team that you could do a lot, but it wasn't until after I left there and I kind of did other types of social work where I realised actually the system wasn't really very robust and the resources were so low, and couldn't really keep people as safe as you wanted to, and it's quite a stressful job.
Right.
And then so I did different types of social work for years.
Right.
And then
Do you find it rewarding?
yeah, you know what? It's a real privilege to, you know, the lives that I've been in, the people at some of the hardest points in their lives, and you know, and you're going in. It's a privilege, but it's something it's a position that you really have to respect, you know.
I think so. I assume so.
But not just from the I respect social workers. I think they do an amazing job. But when you're in it, it's like you have to respect the fact that you are entering into someone's life at the most vulnerable time. So, and some of the situations are really hard. You've got to do safeguarding. Some are relatively straightforward. But you've got to respect that you're entering other people's worlds, you know, and you've got to navigate that carefully and respectfully, but still get the job done with the constraints.
And I'm going to say something, and I'm not putting this across the board of social workers. I haven't had great amount of dealings with social workers, but this is just a sort of vague example of something that happened within my life, not really directed at me, but within my family unit, and it's to do with, you know, kind of getting support for my partner then's child around a diagnosis, and social work were involved and stuff like that, and you know, this social worker, I can't remember her name, probably for the best, made a lot of opinions about the situation that were really not useful in terms of us being able to access support further for the situation that we was in. But what was really difficult was what she was saying was inaccurate, and it didn't matter that we kind of like saying something completely different. She had already decided what the truth was, and off the back of that we weren't able to get the support. But what was annoying was kind of like, you're wrong. We eventually proved that we were wrong, but by that point people move on. And so, okay, maybe it'd be more useful to have a question about, I guess there's a lot of responsibility in terms of like decisions, not only for social workers but for professionals that you know are the ones that are trying to gather information, come to conclusions, and within that, you know, people are not always right, and you know, because we're human, right? We're only I understand that, but
you know, I'm not, you know, I can't believe that social workers go to work every day and, you know, like, oh, how can I screw up somebody's life today, you know?
Sure.
I can't believe that, you know, social workers go into social work because they do genuinely care about people.
I'm sure.
There's things that come into play, isn't there? There's inexperience. There's a very fine power imbalance within the role, especially within child services. And that's something you've got to navigate. And if you're inexperienced, then that takes some time. And you know, there's criteria. You know, there's criteria you've got to fill. Then there's bosses you've got to go through, and there's little resource to do what you want to do with. So you know, it's not. I'm sympathetic to your experience, but there's so many dynamics at play in a social work role.
And probably, and even within mental health. I mean, now I work within a mental health service. You know, it's one thing being on the outside and having sort of care and, you know, and things like that. But when you work within the system, you can see it very differently. And you know, there's only so much people can do, and there's you know, as you say, you've got to meet certain standards, and you've got to do certain things, and things are required of you, and there's only so much that you're able to offer. Even you know so many services are so stretched. But I only kind of like got the insight from working in the services, and you know, it's you know, quite eye opening.
And there's like different levels of scrutiny, you know. So I've worked in places where I would go and do an assessment. I'd write my assessment up, and that assessment itself had to be approved. It had to be read by a manager and approved. Whereas other places I've worked and it doesn't. So there's different levels of scrutiny. There's different supervision levels. You know, there's so much involved in the system.
Yeah.
That it can be complex. Yeah.
People can be complex, but the system can be complex too.
Yeah, both, right?
Yeah, and this is part of the reason
Yeah.
why I wanted to talk to you, because it's a different perspective that I think is worth, you know, bearing in mind for people when, you know. But anyway, okay, so I'm going to move on from that, okay? So, from your experiences and your opinions,
Yeah.
what could be done to improve services, or what needs to be changed? But before I ask that, because I've skipped a question, which is an interesting one, which one that you want me to avoid, maybe, I don't know.
I've forgotten them all already.
Well, okay, this one. Do you have any controversial views on mental health services?
To have controversial views. So we have to remember that when I was working in mental health services, it wasn't as a social worker.
Okay.
So
yeah.
it was as part of that education service. So I guess I have views on that.
You haven't been a case manager?
Not in mental health.
No? Okay,
no.
yeah.
So I went straight from being a social worker, discharged social worker in hospital.
Right.
And I decided that I wanted to teach.
Right, okay.
I wanted to facilitate.
So you went straight to the recovery college?
So I went straight to recovery college.
Right.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah, they gave me a job.
But I guess, because I have an insight into the service, that even within working from the hospital to the recovery college, that you get a good insight into, you know, services as in general. You know, you've got to recruit, you know, professionals into the recovery college and stuff like that. It's.
I mean, to be honest, my views on mental health services are more on a political scale.
Go on.
Because again, it's like I say about social workers going to work to do the best they can.
Yeah.
You know, everybody in mental health services are going to work and to do the best they can. But it's the system.
Probably most people are anyway.
Yeah, well, yeah, you got to believe that, right?
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, within my, I think the heart is definitely within where I work. There's a lot of heart, and I think that's important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you know, cases there's huge waiting lists. One person can't hold a caseload that big. You know, some people get caseloads 25, 30 people. I mean, how can you have a caseload of 30 people? And I know that there's a lot of pressure from the public. Are you not recruiting? Well, there isn't anybody. There's no one to recruit. You know, the government stopped the bursary for nurses. They put tuition fees up by a hell of a lot. You know, no one's been encouraged, you know, to go into these services. So I think that locally services are doing the best they can, but they're not supported by the resources, the money from a government level.
Because what I've noticed within where I work, you know, we are seemingly very fortunate in terms of how well resourced we are.
That's your one team, though.
No, but exactly. But I understand within other teams, they don't have that privilege, and it's like you kind of think, wow, how people with caseloads that big, but how can they spend that much time, and be offered so much stuff when the demand is so high?
Well, they can't, but they do. They work. People work their days 9 to 5, and what you probably don't see is they go home and they're still working.
Yeah.
And they're putting in the work. That's generally what happens. People do work hard. I mean, I've got possibly controversial views about the whole lived experience role.
Go on. I have a lived experience role, so we have talked about this before. This wouldn't be about. Go on.
Sometimes I feel like it's a token gesture.
And I think it can be.
Yeah. I feel like they put peer support workers into teams. And those teams don't understand what peer support workers do. And there seems to be little motivation to understand. I don't know whether that's some kind of internal stigma. I don't know. Or whether they are just working so hard that they can't fit it in. But I think there is some stigma underlying somewhere, or there's.
But what is the stigma then?
The stigma is either actually, you know what, I went to university and school for 4, 5, however many years to get here, because mental health services and statutory services in general are quite hierarchical. And then they bring in somebody with lived experience that may or may not.
When you say
have
hierarchical,
Yeah.
you're meaning people have spent years studying to get to the place where they are?
Yeah. So once they get there, then there's a hierarchy, isn't there? There's a banding paid system.
Yes.
Based on your education and your professional registration.
Isn't it also based on your responsibilities that you have?
Yes, but you can't have those responsibilities unless you've got a professional registration, and you can't get a professional registration unless you've gone to university.
Okay. So you think maybe that the stigma is about?
Maybe there's a stigma of what is this role for? I do this, and I don't know whether they really believe how helpful the lived experience role is. And you and I, we know we know the power of a lived experience role, but I don't think there's a lot of people do. And there's there's platitudes and there's gestures, and they're going to grow it, but I don't know if that system can grow across the country without really believing in it and having the system to strongly support and really implement the lived experience properly and more thoroughly into teams.
I mean, I know from experience of lots of different peer support workers. We spoke about it before, that people end up in teams and then it's like, well, I don't feel that they know how to use a peer support worker well. But I think as peer support workers, we kind of we're all baffled by that. It's like, okay, well, we feel it's quite obvious how you'd use one. How is not talking with somebody that's walked through their own mental health problems and sort of come through the other side not a useful conversation? It might not be the answer. No one's saying it's the answer, but in terms of why would you use one? Oh, that's so friggin' straightforward. It's but I think that's historically we're kind of thinking, how is this question keep coming up? Especially when you sort of think these are really intelligent people.
Yeah.
How are they? It's not that. It can't. That's the conclusion. Ends up coming to no. It can't be that. That cannot be the reason. It's something deeper going on. But somebody did give me a little bit of an insight. I can't remember what she said. Because they kind of say, well, until we know actually what the problem is, it's difficult to address it. And I think that because of the role, it can be like people don't want to tell you what the truth is. Maybe people don't want to say what the truth is on lots of things because people don't want to upset you or offend you, especially when it comes to lived experience. Oh, I don't want to say something that might rock someone with lived experience.
Yeah, there's that's true. It's like, oh, what would I say that might trigger them? And then cause some kind of setback or.
Yeah. And I think it can be. Like, I'm not saying, within my role, I think things have moved forwards a lot. I've been there 5 years. I'm not in the same position as I used to be, and there are other people But I've always believed in the message.
Yeah.
And that's what's kept me in the job for as long as I have. Have I been frustrated? Absolutely. Am I seeing these problems, not just me, these problems going on, but I've always believed in the message. It's difficult to know how you best deliver a message. And then, of course, it can become a little bit political. What are the problems? And trying to understand what the problems are. And, it is, and then you do get positive discrimination. Those token gestures, those, it's, trying to be treated as equals. But what can happen is you're treated too, people are being too nice. Okay. Way too nice. Or... I could give examples, but I'm not, which sounds terrible. It's like, well, but the point is, I totally believe in the message. I love the idea of what they're trying to do, and not just in Vinfing. I think it's going on all around countries, and I think that they're using them in prison services, in drug services, with the council and stuff like that. But it's how do people use them? Because culturally, lots of people have their own lived experience in mental health services, experiences, and that might, whether it's them or a family member, and it might give them a bit of a passion to go and try and help people. But culturally, people have never really been open and shared it.
Oh, no.
No. But now people pay people to share their stuff for that message.
Yeah.
And there are various ways to deliver that message, Recovery College being one of them.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that you share that around sort of possible stigma.
Yeah. Because there is huge value in the lived experience role. And it would just be great to one day see it just slot in really nicely and being seen as actually integral.
Meaning?
To the working, like it's important. You can't run this kind of service without it. It's just as important as any other role in that team. And have that integration plan and systems and policies all in place from the get-go, and everybody knows. Yeah. Everybody knows that the team is the team, and that everybody's has a part to play.
And I went to an open day, Recovery College actually. It just happened to be but there was there was a woman there. She was a support worker, and somebody, one of the students, asked a question around lived experience and peer support, and she kind of said she couldn't really see what the difference is between support work and peer support work, and I kind of piped up because I have that thing. I say, well, peer support work can do a lot of support workers stuff, but culturally, people might have their own lived experience, which she did, but culturally they're not open and drawing upon it to give people a sort of positive message around their own journey, culturally, historically.
So why is that then?
Well, you could ask that, absolutely. So
you could say that's stigma as well.
Well, I mean, you could. I mean,
people like me. So I have actually. So when I first started at Recovery College, I went as a student to do a few courses, and I went to the. I can't remember which one it was. I think it was the Living Well with Hearing Voices.
Right.
I went to do that as a student, and what I didn't say about Recovery College is that staff members and students, service users, are all in the same room as students, and we had an activity where we had to get in groups and discuss our experiences of hearing voices, and there was a staff member there, and the first thing they said was, "Oh, well, I don't have it, so I don't know. What about you?" I was like, well, why did you feel like that was the first thing you needed to say? Like, the first thing you needed to say was discount yourself from this experience. Oh, why?
I mean, there could be a few takes on why someone would share that. I'm just saying. I mean, I see what you're saying, but
even people that do have a lived experience don't pipe up and share it. So there's like two extremes. You're either counting yourself out, or you've got it and you're just sitting quietly.
Yeah. And how do you get through that then? What is the barrier there? What?
I don't know.
Is it because people are just not seeing themselves as equals at all?
Possibly.
So the first person that's saying, just want to put it out there, I don't experience that.
Maybe.
And the other person's won't share it.
Or self-stigma. Maybe someone is still on the journey and they haven't come to grips with it themselves. They're still trying to figure it out. Maybe.
Do you think maybe they just they meant well in terms of saying, like, I don't have this experience, so I'm not going to pretend I do?
Maybe, but that's not how it came across.
No, okay. I just wanted to point that out because that sounded like it could have been an option, but I wasn't there.
Yeah. But it's an interesting topic.
Okay, so we've gone a bit political. We talked lots about the Recovery College. We talked about lived experience. Yeah. Okay. Did you mention about what you think needs to be changed? Well, we talked about politically in terms of the money the government need to be inspiring people to get into the profession and how that might help in the long run.
It's resources, and you know, it's about allocating resources to where it's needed.
Right.
And just the right places and more of it. And not to waste it. You know, there's lots of statutory organisations and government. We've seen that over the last couple of years, how much they waste money, which is outrageous. And you know, what could have been done with that money. And you know, if I think about that too much, I get angry. But you know,
it's not as simple as people think.
No.
Like, because it's very easy to criticise.
It's very easy to criticise.
It really is. And things are just not that. It's not because people are not wanting to help.
No.
That's not really the problem.
No, that's not the problem.
It's far more. But some people can be just focus on that. People are just not caring about us enough.
Yeah.
When there's lots of people that are really caring.
Yeah.
You know. So. Okay, so we talked about that. We're going to move on now. Okay, so you left mental health service, we'll just call it mental health service, to start your own venture and work for yourself.
Yes.
Okay, let's look at the code. So obviously that came with, you know, stability in terms of pay, right?
Yeah.
You're now going to work for yourself for the first time, I gather.
Yeah.
So you called yourself the Pied Wagtail. Why?
So there's 3 different reasons for the Pied Wagtail, because there's 3 different parts of the business. So the Pied Wagtail, my business, is all about photography. So I sell my photography. It's a gift shop because I do just like gift shops, and it sells kind of wellness type of gifts. And I'm going to be offering well-being coaching. And well-being and wellness courses. So the Pied Wagtail fits with the gift shop bit just because I like Pied Wagtails. They're really cute. Second part is photography. Like, I've always tried to take a photo of a Pied Wagtail and I've always failed. They're all rubbish, so I'm sort of making fun of myself.
Right.
And the third reason is that Pied Wagtails are really community minded. So like in the winter, they like help each other out, get food and stuff like that. And that's what I want my business to be, like supportive, and a community, like a safe community that's supportive.
Okay, which is great, and I've used some of the things and been to see your shop.
You did come to see your shop.
To see your shop.
Was awesome.
So, but it is very influenced by sort of wellness. Okay?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Is that because of what you've learned through your time, you know, in services, and you had an interest in taking what you've learned and being more independent? Was that a part of it, or?
Yeah, there's loads of different reasons why I left. So the first was my mum became ill and she was given a poor prognosis. So I was caring for her and she died during the last couple of years. And I just thought, you know, there's one life, I've got one life, and I can't sit in this job. I wasn't enjoying it. I thought somebody else could do the job better. I thought that I'd taken it as far as I could, and that how I wanted to develop it, that service, it wasn't going to happen. And I was obviously grieving as my mum died, so I took a month off work. I was really fortunate enough to take a whole month off. And I was like, I need to reflect, like, what am I going to do? Trying to figure out whether I hated the job now, because I love Recovery College, so like, why am I hating the job? Why was I hating it? So is it just because I'm grieving, or is it time to do something else? So I took a month off work to reflect. And in that month, I started to get ideas of doing my own thing, of like putting my photography onto products and selling them. And then by the end of the month, I went back to work to see how I felt. And I was like still hating it, but I was like enjoying what I come up with in the month off and the stuff that I was doing in the month off. So I thought, all right, one life, just do it, just do it. So yeah.
You're always telling me that.
Yeah, one life, right?
Yeah. Just do it.
You've got one experience. In my opinion, yeah, lots of people believe in afterlife. Lots of people believe in reincarnation, but I believe we've got one life, and then we go back to nature. We just recycle back to nature. So you've got to try.
But why have you chosen what you've chosen?
So I've chosen what I've chosen because I do love facilitating. I do love supporting people. I do love mental health and getting the word out there. It is important to normalise it for me. And I thought, and I love gift shops. And I wanted to work for myself. I wanted to see what I could do.
Why do you love gift shops?
It's just amazing gift shops, aren't they?
I don't know, are they?
I love choosing.
I'm not knocking your gift shop, but I mean, I'm not sure whether my view was gift shops are amazing.
I love choosing presents for people.
Right.
No, listen, look, let me tell you about something which happened yesterday in the shop, right? And this is just the epitome of what I love about my shop.
Right.
So, 2 ladies came in. There's one lady at the desk, and she's paying for. She bought a notebook, I think, and a bookmark. And then, you know, I ring it all up. It's in the bag, and she goes over. I've got this wall, right? And people can write on a post-it note the best thing about their day and stick it on the wall. And she'd moved over to the wall and she was just reading through. Her friend came by and she bought a pin badge. And this pin badge said, you are safe, you are loved, you are courageous. And she walked over and she unwrapped it and she gave it to her mate. And her mate started crying. They had a hug, and she said, "Just you know what, you're my best friend. I couldn't do this without you." And it's like, and that's what I want my shop to be. So the kind of things that I sell, I want them to connect people. I want them to be more meaningful. A more meaningful connection with somebody, so that you really see someone. You really understand who they are. What they're going through, and that you're there for it.
Because a lot of it is quite empowering, isn't it?
Yeah.
Empowering little statements on various things and stuff like that.
And that's exactly what I want the shop to be.
Right.
I want it to do that and have that effect.
Yeah.
And I know it does. People come in that have bought stuff and they come in, they tell me, oh, their friend really appreciated that and stuff. Right. So, you know.
But which is great, but also within that, to say, like, you've got your photography, you're passionate about photography, and you've got these gifts with all these sort of like little quirky and empowering statements, which is lovely and stuff like that. But you also got like a section of books where like personal development. I know you're quite into sort of personal development books, and also you've done a values course and you've trained to become a coach. But not only that, right? You've started your own podcast on wellness and resilience, which I featured on, by the way. Why did you go for that? What, you know, because the whole thing is heavily influenced by well-being and, you know, somewhat mental health to a certain degree. And
so they're all going to link up eventually. There's going to be a mindful photography course at some point before the end of the year to link in the photography part, and then the gifts all link into wellness and connection with others. And the podcast, you know, I just wanted to highlight the everyday, ordinary, extraordinary people.
Ordinary, extraordinary. Let's go right. You thought about that one, didn't you?
And I say that because I think that all people are extraordinary. And you know, like in life, we sit here and we see these, I don't know, what are the awards that some paper does an award, Pride of Britain or something, and they just pick out the best people. Well, you know what? There's all these people that are doing amazing things, and they're no different. And actually, that makes them extraordinary. They're going through these mental health challenges. They're finding a way to overcome something. They're living life. They're surviving in this hard world, and that in itself, to me, is extraordinary. And in the spirit of Recovery College, let's share that. Let's share that lived experience. Let's see what we can learn from each other.
And that's part of why I become a peer support worker as well. Same type of thing. But you see all these people on, you know, media, you know, gone on to do great things and stuff like that. But what I love about your podcast is these are just normal people. Not saying they're not extraordinary or anything like that, but everyday people that have learned to manage, you know, the problems that they've been through. And for me, it really is about passing on
Yeah.
what people have learned for people that might not have thought about something in a certain way or might feel helpless. And I think that's what your podcasts are doing.
Yeah.
And I find it really quite an interesting topic to choose, because
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely believe that, you know, it's about passing on. And not only that, getting understandings.
Yeah.
And the topic you've chosen delivers that.
Yeah.
It's on Spotify.
Spotify and YouTube.
Yeah, under the Podwag
Under the Podwag Town.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really followed scripts at all. Really, I had an idea of what I was going to ask you. You know, what has like talked in the past, and I'm sure the Recovery College talk about meaning and purpose. Like, you ventured out on your own. I guess the only way of you making money is selling things or providing a service in some way.
Yeah.
It's off your own back.
Yeah.
Nobody's paying you, although they are. You have to deliver something that people are willing to pay money for.
Yeah.
How pressurising is that?
Yeah, there's pressure. Obviously, like you talked about it, like, and I do have moments of like, why the hell did you leave like a decent paying job for this, like, and I definitely have thoughts, and there's pressure to earn money, there's pressure to pay the bills, there's pressure to make it work. There's not pressure to make it work, actually. There's pressure to pay the bills, but in order of pressure to make it work, I don't feel that, because I think in this culture, people seem to think that things have to last forever, and like marriages, or like being a job for years, or friendships, and I don't subscribe to that. I feel like things can last a little bit. The most important thing is the process, the journey, if you like. Did you try your hardest? Did you do it?
Absolutely.
So that's fine. So for me, there's no pressure. If it
pressure,
gets
you're releasing pressure.
There's pressure to earn money, but there's no pressure to make the whole thing work.
Yeah.
If I just try my hardest,
and
just try to do it, put my all into it, then that's enough.
Do you think it's requiring a completely different level of yourself to operate in that world? Yeah,
for sure. Because I've always been in the third sector, public sector, so there's always plenty of work. There's always something to do. Whereas this is different. I have to promote myself. I have to find people. Whereas in social work, the people are there waiting. So that's different. So
is it empowering or at times disempowering?
You know what? At times there are hard days, there's literally no one's come in the shop.
Right.
There are days like, but then that situation I was describing with those ladies yesterday, that happens quite frequently. People come in the shop, and sometimes they tell me like their life story. Sometimes they share really vulnerable, poignant moments with me, and like that connection is what makes it all worth it. Like, for me, it's already worth it. Yeah. By having this experience, by meeting these people, by the new people I've met, the just one-off visits to the shop, but there's a connection, there's a really meaningful conversation. It's already worth it.
So I suggested to somebody I was talking to on the telephone earlier that I was going to do this talk with you, and sort of said a little bit about what the shop is, and she said, I love shops like that, and I said it was in Hull, and she said, I think I've been in that shop. Whether she has or not, I'm not sure, but she is quite interested in those type of things, and was very interested in what you were sort of providing as a gift shop. Yeah. But also the other things.
It's more than a gift shop.
Absolutely it is. Yeah. And what's your plan? What's your long-term plan with it?
Long-term plan is the shop is there. There'll be some wellness and resilience coaching packages in addition to the shop. There'll be...
What do you think that offers, the coaching? Now, I've had a little taster. Yeah. So I know, and actually through it, I'm not just saying that, I have made some changes. It's not but it's not that my whole world has changed yet. Yeah. But it has helped me talk about things, and make some changes, and I feel like I'm moving in some of the areas that I was stopped.
Yeah.
So, but that's just what I noticed from the short time that I spent with you.
So
in that time.
That is what coaching does. People come with something they want to change about their lives or a goal, anything to do with wellness and resilience, which can be a broad term. And then they're helped through mini goals throughout a number of sessions to get to where they want to be. And actually, it does work.
And I always think how many people are out there that are unsatisfied for whatever reason, but then get stuck in that life.
Yeah.
You know, you just get into a routine, and you know, you just repeat, and actually it's very difficult to make changes because of the pressure of bills and things like that. But people would rather stay unhappy. I mean, it's more complicated than that, but people, of course it is. But people stay in a situation where they're unhappy rather than take a chance on something else or venture in a different way. Please tell me a different. I feel you're going to be scared, but I think sometimes it can be that, like, people stay in a position where they're unhappy, rather than take a risk on something else.
Yeah, but risks are really scary, aren't they?
Of course.
So you know that's.
But on one hand, you're unhappy. You know you're unhappy.
Yeah,
but risks are that scary that I think I'd rather stay a bit unhappy.
Yeah, but it's not just that, isn't it? Sometimes people are in a job and they're unhappy, but actually they've got a family, there's a lifestyle, there's a mortgage, and you can't do anything about it.
Of course.
But
isn't that one of the tragedies of life?
Yeah.
Really is. Really is.
Yeah. Yeah, and you hear about all these people that just give up their houses and just go and live in like a tiny house or like a caravan or something and do a bit of travelling. More and more people are looking for a different lifestyle, but it's not easy. You have to have resources.
You have to have a plan.
You have to have a plan. You have to have resources. You need a certain amount of money. It's not easy.
Yeah. But being able to talk that through with somebody and coming up with some kind of plan.
Coming up with plans, strategies, things to implement, looking at where you're stuck, why you're stuck, how can you get unstuck.
Yeah.
What little changes can we make to reach the ultimate goal? Yeah. A way forward. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not sure if there's anything we haven't covered freestyling that isn't within. I mean, is there anything else that you'd like to share in terms of anything? Like what you're doing, or you know, something really important that you've learned that.
Something important that I've learned.
Oh, yeah, why not? Share whatever you want.
What, from doing the shop?
Doing whatever.
You know, for me, it just has been important to have taken that risk. But I was in a position where I could, so.
Right.
So, you know, I'm lucky.
Right.
But yeah, I actually think it's important to make change. It doesn't have to be something as big as changing your whole job, but I think it is important to make changes if you're not happy.
Do you feel very different?
Yeah, I do feel different.
Yeah. In what way? You feel freer?
Yeah, there's a certain autonomy, you know.
What's that word mean?
That you choose, that you're the only decision maker. You know, I get to decide completely how I spend my day, what I work on, what I do, what direction I go in.
Yeah.
And that autonomy is kind of nice.
Right.
And you know, the Recovery College is special, but there's a lot of collaboration. It takes a lot more time to work on stuff. There's a lot more opinions to gather, and that's what makes it rich.
Yeah. But that's what can make it complicated, also.
But that's what can make it complicated and hard work at the same time.
Yeah.
So to not have anyone to answer to,
to
not have anyone to manage, to not have any, you know, dynamics, you know, institutional dynamics or team dynamics or whatever. It's just me. That's nice.
You and your own personal dynamics.
Me, I'm just stuck with me.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Generally, big respects. You've helped me lots in the time that we've hung out. That wasn't
that was
enough
a slap. High five. Yeah.
Right. So we're going to move on. I feel like I'm hoping that video is still rolling. Right. I really am. Quick fire round. 14 questions.
14.
14. You've got to answer them quick. You take too long. I'm just going to move on. You're going to lose your opportunity. Okay.
Alright.
So you got to quick. Okay. Favourite colour?
Green.
Green. Favourite photographer?
Mac Stone.
Mac. Yeah. If you were a sandwich, what would you be?
Cheese and coleslaw.
Cheese and coleslaw. Favourite thing about your partner?
Oh, he's so kind and thoughtful.
Yeah.
And wonderful.
Yeah. Good. Most annoying habit you have?
I don't know. I'm stubborn, I'm told.
Stubbornness. Could you sit through a... Sorry, hang on. Make me breathe. Don't want to be childish. It's quite a childish question.
It's the hardest question.
Could you sit through a nude play and take it seriously?
Well, what's the context?
I mean, if it was... This is a
it
quick fire round.
Is it gratuitous nudity?
Oh, I don't know what that means.
Or is it
It's
relevant?
not just people walking around in the nude. There'll be some meaning as to what the play is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you could. Good. Favourite politician of all time? I know you like politics.
I do like my favourite of all time. It's a hard one. But I am inspired by Jeremy Corbyn. I was inspired by Jeremy Corbyn.
Okay, cool. Childhood celebrity crush?
Childhood celebrity crush?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of who I had. I had loads of E17 posters on the wall.
E17.
Love E17.
It's all right. Yeah.
Do.
Really interesting. I certainly subscribe to Brian Harvey's channel.
Do
I
you?
I have, and I listened to some of the things. I think it's a tragedy of what's happened to his life. I don't know a great deal about it, and he seems somewhat stuck, and I think that maybe some things have gone on that nobody believes. I don't know. All I'm saying is E17. All Right was my very first single on cassette.
Was it?
It was just my very first thing I bought.
Do you know what my first single on cassette
Go on.
was? Chesney Hawkes, I Am the One and Only.
Chesney Hawkes, yeah. Great times, weren't even on there. So number 9, favourite band or artist?
Slackers.
The Slackers, never heard of them. All right, I'll have to look into that. Teach, two pods. Teach everyone how to make money or prevent poverty?
Prevent poverty.
I knew you'd go for that one, yeah? Favourite part of a man's body?
I just think this is a really stupid question.
Juvenile?
Yes.
Yeah, because you could have said his mind.
It's not a body.
It's a body part, isn't it? It's within the body.
All I can think about is...
You just think it's childish.
I've watched you do this before.
Absolutely.
And it was a bit blokey and it was just like horrible.
Okay.
So
Okay, you can answer it however you want. If you were a car, what would you be?
I don't know, blue one?
No, but what type of car?
I don't know.
You'd be a blue car, even though your favourite colour's green.
You can't have a green car.
No?
No.
Right. Any particular model car? Ferrari? Sports convertible?
I
Morris Minor? Classic?
I honestly couldn't tell the difference.
You're
between
too
cars.
late then, okay. Favourite place in the world?
I haven't been to many places. So that's a
But
difficult
so
one.
far?
I drove through the Rockies from Utah to Colorado and that was stunning.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, that'll do. Last one. If you could say just one thing to the world right now, what's it going to be?
Have compassion for others and compassion for yourself.
Yeah? There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brianne. You've been a star.